First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now. Of course, we are live streaming on our website, on our apps, and our social media channels. But I don't really need to make a long introduction to this segment here because it's pretty clear right on the screen what we're going to be doing, because we are going to be joined right now, actually, by the one and only Mr. Jim Belushi. There he is. Jim, I was going to do this big grand intro, but everybody knows what you do.
Well, thanks. It's hard to listen to those long intros. It's like, I did all that?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of things that you've accomplished over your career and are still accomplishing.
I've had a good life, man. I've done a lot of cool shit. So sorry.
We're online. It's we'll just ignore that one.
Yeah. Let's not ignore that one.
That's all right. All right. So Jim, talking about this huge career that you have, all this stuff, and I do want to kind of hit on a little bit of that just a little bit later in the interview. But I wanted to talk about the Oregon side of things first, just to start off here, because everybody, was so excited to find out that you were going to be coming here. I guess you having your farm here, but when was that decision made to come out to Oregon?
Oh, God, many years ago. I have a friend who lives down the river in Shady Cove, and I used to come up there in the spring and the fall with my family and with his family, and we would have such a great time. And then I went into the Rogue River one time, and I came out, and I was like, I should find a place around here. So, that was 2010 or something. I think I bought in like 2014 or 15, something like that.
Wow. And it is really amazing there in Southern Oregon. So you're down there on the Rogue River. I've done a lot of camping down there.
I'm on the Rogue River, the old Elks picnic grounds. I got a stage. I got, like 1,800 feet of riverfront that's right there out my back door. My dog loves it. I love it. My family loves it. It's just so wonderful to be in Southern Oregon.
What is it about it? You mentioned some of the stuff there, but what is it about it that made you fall in love with Southern Oregon?
I could never articulate it. There's just a feeling that happens in that area. It just feels right in my body. I don't know what it is. There's a kind of a spiritual thing going on, or there's something with the planets. I don't know, but there's a vortex of beauty, simplicity, genuineness. It's just, I don't know. I just feel good there. What can I tell you? I feel good.
That's all you need. Is that right there?
Yeah. I put a sweat lodge. I built a sweat lodge
how do you
on the property.
Like it?
Oh, I love it. We do I do shaman light, and I bring in the spirits of the Southern Oregon, and bring love and light and stuff. It's fun. It's fun, and then we dive into the river.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's got to be a shock.
Awakening. Wow, it's an awakening. It is. Talk about a spiritual journey. Let me tell you, your body goes through it like an electric shock. It's great. It's great. It's just great.
It's amazing down there, and you have all of that, and you have bought this property, and then you decided, what I want to do, grow cannabis. Let's grow marijuana. What was the decision process for that? I've seen Growing Belushi, but for everybody who doesn't know.
Well, it was, I don't know. The farm came up for sale next to me. It was 80 acres, and I purchased it from a beautiful woman, Becca, she was an adorable woman. Anyway, and that property feels good, but it was a farm, and I'm not going to grow soybeans or alfalfa. So I do have some cattle that come down every year at this time. We get about 50 cattle that are pregnant, and they eat all the green grass, and they drop these babies. It's birth, it's rebirth, it's birth. That whole area has that feeling. But I didn't know what else to do with the property. So cannabis became legal as a recreational, agriculture. And I thought, wow, it's the new agriculture. So I just Danny Aykroyd kind of turned me on to Captain Jack. And then I met another guy, Jeffrey, and started growing a little bit medical. And then it just snowballed. So now I have like 4 greenhouses, and we service over 50, 60 dispensaries in Oregon, and we grow some of the most premium product because I'm not really into a big scale, but I'm really into, you know, some fine medicine. So
Yeah.
we're really about the medicine.
And that's, one thing that I've heard you mention before. It's that not about the growth to being everywhere, all over the place, but to really make something really, really good. But you mentioned, 50 or 60, I think you said, dispensaries in Oregon just alone. Looking at the industry right now that you've been in it for a while, you're kind of a spokesperson for it, whether you want to be or not. I mean, you kind of are. And, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that the cannabis industry is facing right now in Oregon in particular?
Oregon in particular is, they gave out too many cultivation licenses, and therefore there's too much cannabis, and so the price of per pound goes down, and it's hard for farmers to survive. So it's the abundance of cannabis, and then what it does set up is, a thirst in the black market because these farmers have to kind of pay their employees, and so they ship some of it to the black market. So it's a problem. Other states, they have vertical, programs where you have to grow, you have to be a distributor, you have to have a dispensary. So it limits the amount of growth, and the price can stay buoyant, and people can still make a living. The other challenge, of course, is that it's a Schedule One, federal Schedule One drug, which it's just impossible to understand. And because of the federal statute, people who have licenses like doctors, banks, they're scared to touch it until it relieves that Schedule One, which I think may happen this year. I'm hoping.
You think so? You think there's a possibility that this year that could change?
I'm hoping so. I mean, Biden did recommend it to his committee. They're recommending it to the DEA to take it off of Schedule One. I don't know what the politics are behind it, but it sure would be great to take
Yeah.
it off Schedule One. Because then banks can get involved, big companies can get involved. We can use credit cards instead of carrying cash and looking over your shoulder.
Right.
The tax laws would drop, and people could make a living.
Yeah. I mean, and you mentioned that, so many different, I don't know the exact term, so many different growers, I guess, out there, so many different manufacturers of the product, and that has dropped the price. I mean, what do you think is the solution to that? And I'm just curious. You may not have a solution, and maybe you've been thinking about this a lot, but what do you think is the solution to pare that down?
Well, the solution is kind of happening because a lot of guys are getting out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like, I don't know what the number is, 35% of the growers have just gotten out. So it's kind of made the commodity go up a little bit, for some of us that stayed in. But it's not something, I don't make a living doing it. I make a living acting. If I break even, I'm really, really happy.
Yeah.
But I'm really in it for the purpose, and the relationship with the plant is so beautiful, and the medicine. And the other thing about federal regulation is that because doctors have federal licenses, they won't touch it, they won't recommend it. The VA is not recommending cannabis to the vets. And, vets really suffer from PTSD, and they just throw opiates at them. And there's so many vets that have gotten off the opiates through cannabis. I mean, there's 33,000 suicides a year with vets. They need help. And doctors can't do the research. They won't be able to do research because it's federally illegal and they don't want to lose their license. They're not going to recommend it because they don't want to lose their license. So, we need some help here. And I think we're getting it. We'll get it.
Yeah. I mean, so many things that you just touched on there. I mean, it's just so important to handle. I mean, it's a myriad of issues. I guess I want to continue talking about cannabis, but I did see, you did post something a while ago that had people speculating of whether or not you were going to run for a political office.
Oh.
Is that something that's in your? Okay, never mind. I was on Twitter. That's why I was.
No,
That's not too secret.
That's the big season ender. Don't give it away for growing Belushi. Don't. That's the big joke. Don't do that. It's just part of the progression of, Belushi's farm in the television series Growing Belushi, which is you can get on Max now, I think Hulu and Discovery or Amazon Prime maybe.
Yep.
It's a very good series. There's 12 shows, and it's very good, funny, informative. I call it edutainment. It's
Yes.
education about cannabis and entertaining.
And it is entertaining. I was actually just watching some of it last night from season 3. And, one of the things that I think is really amazing is that relationship that you and, as you said, Dan Aykroyd, and Chris, the relationship that you all three have where you all give each other a really hard time a lot of the time, but
Yeah.
clearly, it's out of love. Like, what does that relationship mean with you for both of those guys?
Those are all real. I mean, this show is, you know, based in reality or things that have happened between us. And we kind of pick it up and bring it back into the show, especially with Chris. I mean, Chris is not an actor. He's just being himself. And so I kind of, as a pro, I know how to manipulate and move him through scenes and get the comedy out of him. And he is very funny in this season. And Danny, well, he's just a pro. He'll do anything. We do anything together. He's just wonderful to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, that dynamic right there. Um, looking at, you mentioned acting and what you do for your real career, outside of this. What's on the horizon for you? What would you think about doing another Blues Brother movie? Was that a possibility? I know I posted that you were going to be on here. A lot of people have asked that. I figure I have to. Is there going to be another
Well,
Blues Brothers?
in my business, you have to have 5 or 6 things going
Yeah.
and juggle them, and one comes through. So I have about 5 or 6 things going. We got 2 TV things that I'm working on. One with my daughter, which looks very promising. They got a couple movies that we're in discussion with. Um, and then, of course, I go on the road with Danny and do the Blues Brothers. We do it for, festivals, corporate events. We were supposed to play the Waterfront Blues Festival one year,
Oh,
but
that'd be
something
amazing.
happened. I can't remember. Yeah, I would love to play that. I love those guys that sponsor that run that really love Oregon, and they bring this great, great joy of music to them in the summer. It's a great festival.
It is. I want to be a proponent of you and Dan playing the Waterfront Blues
Bring the
Festival.
Blues Brothers
Yeah.
to the riverfront.
I mean, it all makes sense. That just has to happen.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
It always depends on Danny's, Aykroyd's schedule. He's a very busy man. He just finished Ghostbusters in London, so he's like all over the place. So we get a date, lock it.
Let's pin him down. Pin him down. You got to make it happen.
Pin him down, Danny. I gotta pin you down.
You mentioned juggling all those different projects that you have going on, and something
Yeah.
I posted that I was going to be having on the show, and one of my friends was like, ask him about all of his voice work because I hear him all the time
Oh.
in things that I'm doing. How does voice work doing that kind of thing for animated shows compare to your other regular acting?
Oh, it is so fun because you can come in dressed like I am now. You don't have to wear makeup. You don't see it, and so you can get as big as you want because the bigger you are, it's better for the animation. So it's like we go in there, and we just chew the scenery up and have a ball. It's just so fun to do that animation. But yeah, I have guys who tell me, "Hey man, I just watching these cartoons with my kids, and is that you?" I go, "Yeah, I did a lot of cartoons, man. I was on a lot of cartoons."
Other than say Blues Brothers, what are you most recognized for, other than just being Jim Belushi? I guess at your stage, you're probably just recognized as it's Jim Belushi. But is there something that people call out more often to you than something else?
Well, I've been really getting recognized a lot for that growing Belushi. I'm surprised the large, audience support for it. But of course, according to Jim, was on for 8 seasons. That touched everybody's family. It was a family show. So young people and older people, they all watched it. I was a babysitter for a lot of kids. Of
Right.
course, Canine with the dog. I still have. I don't know where he is. Darrow.
Oh, it's down there.
Canine with the dog. Is that him? There. Hey, there you are, Darrow. Hello.
Oh yeah, nice. I got to look at my
Speak.
monitor for this. Yeah.
Speak.
Hey, we got a guest appearance right here.
Come here. Speak. Sit.
Star of
Sit.
Growing Belushi, right there.
Speak. There you go. Speak. Good boy. All right. Lay down.
Your dog's much better trained than mine.
He's a service dog. He's very well trained. Lay down. Lay down. Good boy. Lay down.
I wish I could do that.
Boy. Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of treats. It takes a lot of treats.
a lot of treats. That's yeah. I got to get better at it.
Secret. Yeah.
Well, I mean, talking about all those things that you've done, so many. We started off the conversation talking about that. We're mentioning all these different, facets and things that you've been a part of. What haven't you been a part of, or what would you like to do with your career that you haven't done yet?
I'd love to do a Scorsese film. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to get shot or killed in a Scorsese film. But I've done everything. I've done Broadway. I've done musicals on Broadway. I've been on the road. I have a group called the Board of Comedy, which we're still on the road doing improvisation. We travel. Well, God, I mean, we're in Lincoln, Nebraska. We take suggestions from the audience and we just make it up. So it's an improvisational show. I've done comedies, the dramas. I've gotten killed. I've killed people. I've gotten in car accidents. I never got sued on film. I've done. I dance. I sing. I write. I produce. I direct. I grow cannabis. I
Yeah.
sing. I train dogs.
Right.
I just have a ball. I'm enjoying my life. I'm really enjoying it.
You really seem to be. I mean, it's always.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's exactly what it's all about.
Three beautiful children that have just started treating me well.
Well, that's good.
They get,
So,
they get a little older and they start to understand what I was doing. So I go, you weren't a bad dad. I go, no, I wasn't a bad dad at all.
Something else I was going to ask you about on the cannabis side, going back to that. Collaborations are such a big thing. People collaborating with other, growers, but also with other celebrities. Is there anybody out there that you would like to collaborate with on a specific strain?
Oh,
I guess
we have some. We have some proprietary strains like Captain Jack, which is an Afghani indica. We just got a beautiful strain out of a Big Sur called Sage. We call it Big Sur Holy Weed, which is a landrace strain. It's an old school kind of feeling, which I kind of like. With those older strains, it doesn't blow you up so much, and you can actually have a really nice time talking with people and feel good at the same time, and it's good medicine. And then there's some collaborators in Canada that I might work with, a place called Village Farms, that they're doing really great genetic work, and we're in the process of talking with them about collaborating.
Nice. I mean, there's so many great places where that's happening. I guess looking at it from the Oregon side, what do you think it is about Oregon that makes it such a good place for you to have your farm?
Come on, Oregon. Oregon is the great state of cannabis. Are you kidding me? The parallel from Napa to about 50 miles past my farm is a parallel on earth, that on the seventh day when God was going to take a rest, he dragged his hand across this parallel and enriched the soil and the air and the sun, because, we're in the same parallel as Bordeaux and Burgundy. There's just something about the sun, the soil, the water from the Rogue River we feed our girls, our plants. We get 292 days of sun down there. It's very terpene rich. I mean, I don't want to complain about cannabis in other states, but you're not going to get anything better than Northern California and Southern Oregon. And when the law changes and we can take it over state lines, which, by the way, the states don't want us to do. because they know that once the borders go up, everybody's going to be buying West Coast weed because it's the best. It's just the best. It's got the Father, Son, Mother Earth, river spirits. It's air. It's beautiful. It breathes. It's delicious. It's good medicine, and Oregon is the best. It's the best.
That's yeah. I mean, I can totally.
Now that you can't make a mistake in Oregon. You can throw seeds in the grass, and then all of a sudden, the fall, you go, "Wow, this is pretty good."
You picked a good place for your farm.
Yeah.
One other thing, I want to ask. I know I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but I just
I'm
enjoyed
having
talking
fun,
to you.
man. This is great.
Well, you talked about the medicine side, and you mentioned something earlier, about veteran issues with veterans and all of that, and about how cannabis can help. What does it mean for you personally when you know that one of your products or something that you grew is helping somebody get through something?
I met a veteran in Oregon on the coast who was suffering from PTSD. He was a medic in Iraq, and he said, I saw things that happen in the human body that nobody should ever see, Jim. And I went to the VA. When I came back, they said I had triple PTSD. And they gave me a bottle of Oxycontin, 600 pills. And he said, I got off of it with cannabis. And he goes, your strain, your Black Diamond OG is the only strain that allows me to sleep and talk to my wife and play with my kids. And he teared up and he hugged me. And I said, hey, man, I didn't make this. He goes, no, but you're a steward. And it was a paradigm shift for me about why I'm in cannabis. It happened years ago. And I've been on the medicine trail ever since. And especially with veterans.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be such an incredible, feeling and experience, to know that you're helping somebody else.
Yeah.
Or that somebody is receiving kind of help from that.
Yeah.
Well, for Growing Belushi, again, I don't want to spoil anything, so sorry if I it was on Twitter, but for Growing Belushi, I can't believe
it was on Twitter. Somebody already spoilers. There's spoilers out there.
All right. For season 3, is there?
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, let's make sure we're blurring out anything that's important there. That's official. That's bona fide right there.
That's it. Oregon. I'm the president.
That's even the one before the real ID too, I think. So yeah.
No, this is real ID.
Oh, that is the real ID one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, nice. So that's official. Well, for that,
Oregon.
And going along those lines, is season 4 going to be happening?
It's one of those 5 things that I'm juggling. We are in talks. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
So
I figured.
I can't make any announcements.
I figured as much.
There's some other announcements that are happening too in Oregon specifically. We're gonna have an announcement pretty soon. So I can't do it yet.
Okay. Well, when you do, would love to talk to you about that. Whatever that announcement is. Well, Jim, anything else that you want to say just to your fans out there, just that are watching and love all the stuff?
Oh yeah, I want everyone to have a great Christmas and a New Year. I mean, it's time. Let's have some joy. Let's be back with family right now. The world is a tough place, and we should enjoy those moments that we have with our children and our wives and partners, and have a Merry Christmas.
All right.
Ho.
Jim, thank you very much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Matt.
Seriously, really appreciate it. And
thank you for your support. I appreciate that too, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate the conversation. So I'll get back to you and Tal there, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye.
All right, Jim Belushi right here on Fox 12 Now. So here's what's going to happen. Just for everybody who's watching live, I'm looking at the clock right now. It's 1:24. About 5 minutes, we're going to be talking about Formula E and the Grand Prix E that's returning to Portland. So that's coming up here at 1:30 p.m. Pacific if you're watching live. So just stick around. If you're watching on social media, you'll see this video end. We'll start back up in 5 minutes. And then and if you're watching on the website or apps, we'll continue going for the next 5 minutes or so. But I will talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.